Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And joining me as per usual is the goddess of DC, Rayceen Pendarvis.
Greetings and salutations to all. We are here with, and I'm going to have him introduce himself.
My name is Chander Jayaraman. I'm the candidate for DC Council at Large.
Thank you, and thanks so much for joining us today, Chander. Now tell me, why did you choose, what was it about this moment, about this time in your life that made you want to run right now?
Well, I'm running to bring some common sense to the DC Council. For years and years, the City Council has always been reactionary, responding to the same old problems in the same old ways and not producing results. And, it's time for a new way of thinking and for someone who has fresh ideas and new way about going things. And that's me. I'm the right person at the right time. I have a background in emergency preparedness, and I do that for a living and also do that for childcare centers, helping reopen under the COVID-19 crisis. I've worked as an ANC commissioner for the past 8 years, serving my community. The last 4 as chair or vice chair. And I have common sense solutions that have a track record of bringing people together and finding solutions and getting results. And I think that's really what people are looking for now.
How about that? And if elected, what are your 3 issues that are most concerning you?
My main 3 issues are, first of all, it's education. It has to be. How do we reopen our schools safely, both for students and for teachers? And what we know is that schools aren't reopening, and I think that the mayor made the right decision for right now, but it gives us an opportunity to say, okay, at some point we're gonna have to reopen. What does that look like? And it has to meet 3 main tenets: that our students are safe and our teachers are safe when going back to school. And we have to think creatively about how we do that. Maybe it's outside classrooms. Maybe it is a variety of other things that we can do. 2, making sure our students are learning, both in class and virtually. So we need to start now to make sure, if we're going to go into the virtual learning on August 31st, that our teachers have the right tools to be able to do that and the technical support. And also our students, we should have a bank of technical support folks to be able to do that. So that's number 1. 2, getting DC back to work. That's not just for our businesses and small businesses in particular in retail, but also our workforce. As of tomorrow, the benefits that they received because of the COVID-19 are ending. So there's hundreds of people, thousands of people in the city that are not sure what they're going to do and how they're going to pay their rent next month. We need to make sure we address that. One of the ways is to make sure our small businesses are supported in this time of crisis. And we need to do more. I think we've done not quite enough as we should. 3, public safety. We've got the highest homicide rate in the city. And coupled with that, the senseless gun violence that you hear about day in and day out. And we need to stop doing bumper sticker politics, and really take a hard look at what do we ask, our officers to do. I think we ask them to do way too much. It's beyond what they're trained to do in their scope of work. So let's take that off their plate and really help them focus on what they're supposed to do. And then look at the budget and see, hey, where does that fall out? And so those are my 3 main priorities: education, reopening businesses and our government for families and for our children. And then 3rd is public safety.
Of course, definitely. And parlaying from that, how have the events of this summer, the demonstrations, the protests, as well as the ongoing pandemic impacted you personally and your priorities as a candidate?
Personally, I've been fortunate that we have not had COVID-19 crisis, although I have found that I have a number of people who I've picked up the phone and called and say, hey, is Mr. So-and-so there? And they said, oh no, he's passed away from COVID.
Wow.
He didn't know he had it. He was sick. He went home, gave it to his wife. They both passed away within a matter of weeks.
My goodness.
Both of them. And it was devastating. And so what it's really helped me understand is that the decisions over the next 4 years are really going to be driven by this crisis. And we need somebody who has that kind of knowledge, who has a practical grasp, and who has a platform that says, look, let's bring some common sense. Let's look at this as not just dividing people, but as a joint effort to raise each other up. And the demonstrations have shown is that we have far to go. But I also know when I convened a citywide town hall on policing, I heard from the deputy chief of police, as well as council members, as well as the deputy director or deputy mayor for public safety, that we do need to look at how policing look like. And we need to be the national leader in race relations, racial justice, and part of that starts with policing.
How about that? That seems like a great plan. At last count, there are 24 people who want to be on the ballot in November for the DC at-large seat. In the current process, voters are each asked to cast a vote for 2. Do you support implementing instant runoff voting or ranked choice voting in DC elections?
I do support ranked choice voting. I really do. I also support open primaries so that everyone gets to vote. And ranked choice voting, what it does is that it allows you to pick from a variety of people based on your preference and not just one or the other. In this case, just 2 candidates. And you get a better sense of how people feel. And you could have a candidate, while he's not, this person's not your next door neighbor, but you know what, you like them. So you've got to support your next door neighbor. But then again, you're able to support as your number 2 choice, another person, or your number 3 choice as a third person. So I think it really gives a good sense of where are the electorate. And it gives you a certain amount of legitimacy, right, when you win that way. And right now, there's a potential that this election is going to be decided by less than 25% of the votes. And so to represent citywide and somebody's going to win with 25% of the vote, it doesn't seem like that's a legitimate position, that you're going in with 75% of the people who didn't vote for you. And that shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of that, have you decided which of the other at-large candidates will get your vote?
Yeah, I'm going to vote for Robert White. I think he's done a great job so far in his first term. I have a good relationship with him. In fact, he was on this panel discussion that I held about policing, and he understands the racial dynamics that are happening in the city, and he grew up in it. And I think, the 2 of us would work very, very well together and really make a difference in this city. So I'm very excited. I will be pleased to cast my second vote for Councilmember Robert White.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And what would you like to tell voters about your voting process in the general election?
Well, what I would say is when you get your ballot in the mail, please vote for Chander Jayaraman on the ballot, and make sure you vote for 2 and mail it in right away. And that's the process that's going to be. So every registered voter is going to get a mail-in ballot. You can vote either directly through mail. You can take it to one of the early voting centers and just drop it off there. But main thing is we want you to be safe. So take advantage of it, mail it in, and that way you vote counts. And you can do it well ahead of time. And I would also ask for you to support me. Best way to find out more about me is chander2020.com is my website. I'm on the platforms of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's Chander for Council. So it's Chander, the number 4, Council.
Thank you so much, Chander. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I know Rayceen's a former ANC commissioner, and so he understands how much that takes. And so I'm grateful for you all for hosting me today, and look forward to a great election. And I'm going to be going door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood, talking to voters.
Thank you.
How about that? And most of all, thank you for watching.
Thank you.